Happy Friday to you. I'm Marlon Bowling with you, your tour guide to the ag commodities, and of course, happy St. Patty's Day. Well, we're glad you could join us today, and we're going to take a look at the setup for Friday's market action on the grains with a little help from Mr. Brian Hoops. He's the president of Midwest Market Solutions. He's in Springfield, Missouri. Now, you got a little green behind you on the wall there, so I guess that's appropriate here for St. Patty's Day. Considering everything has to be green today, does that mean we're going to have a bullish day or what?
Well, good morning, Marlon. I'm hoping we have a lot of green on our screens today, and maybe we will. Corn had another private export sale announcement overnight. China is back in buying more corn. It's a little bit smaller quantities, 191,000 metric tons, about 7.5 million bushels. So far this week, 84 or so million bushels of corn bought by China alone. Now, I went and looked after yesterday's export sales, and after we talked yesterday, China was a large buyer of corn last year, over 12 million metric tons. And this week they bought 2 million tons total, and that brings their year-to-date total to about 5. So they're actually less than half of where they were a year ago. And so it's great to see that they're coming back into the market. And it's really because of what's happening in Argentina, that drought that has plagued their country for quite some time and looks to continue to lower the crop estimates for corn and soybeans. In fact, the Buenos Aires Grain Exchange last night put out a bulletin that they lowered the crop estimate for corn and soybeans down another 3 to 4 million metric tons. So yield numbers expected to continue to come in lower, and this really opens the door for U.S. exports from now until that second crop in Brazil has been harvested. And right now, they're still planting. So it's going to be a little bit of time before they're able to harvest that crop.
All right, so I want to go through these overnight trades here and see how we closed up on the Globex market overnight, see what the pulse of the market is here. Let's take a look at corn with our quotes provided by bar chart. We were higher led by the nearby contracts. The nearby May was 4 cents higher at 636 3/4. July 3.5 higher. December still dragging its feet though. It was 1 3/4 higher at 560 1/4. Yeah, it was higher, but man, all week long the way it seems, the nearbys have been gaining on those far out deferreds like the new crop months. Interesting. Soybean trade finally higher. We have May soybeans were 1.5 higher, July 2 1/4 higher, and November was 2.5 higher. So they finally reversed that trend of the bull spreading type action. Where the deferreds were always weaker. So looks like we wrapped up the evening trade maybe a little bit stronger in that regard. Now let's look at the wheat. And in Chicago, we had the May contract 3 1/4 higher at 702 1/4. And July was also up by 3 cents. In Kansas City, wheat this morning, May was 5.5 higher. And July was up a nickel at 813 3/4. On the spring wheat market, we had May closing 2 1/4 higher overnight, and we had July up a couple of cents at 850 1/2 in that overnight trade. I understand Egypt is buying something like 120,000 tons of wheat, but it's not from us, it's from Ukraine, Brian, so we missed out on another one there.
Yeah, it's been several years since Egypt has bought wheat from the United States, I believe. It looked like they're going to buy from the Ukraine, and it is worthy of mentioning that the export agreement, the corridor export agreement between Russia and the Ukraine expires tomorrow. We still don't have an extension. Now, maybe that'll come at the 11th hour, but if there is no extension, I think that bodes well for U.S. wheat prices. We may not get a lot of additional business, but I think the perception will be there that we need to cover additional short positions in that market and push the wheat values higher if there is no agreement reached.
So, yeah, if there's no agreement, what happens to all the ships that are out there? That should make the crews a little nervous. Well,
yeah, I would think so.
We'll pause right here and we'll come back and we'll talk a little livestock on the other side. All right, thanks for joining us here on a Friday. I'm Marlon Bowling with you, joined by Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, on the livestock summary, I was looking at some sales that got registered on the cash market yesterday out in the country, and it looks like they didn't really change from what we had the day before, although the day before, I believe we were maybe, $1 under what we had last week. Is that about right?
Yeah, there's some volumes just kind of improved without really a change in any prices. I mean, I think there was just a handful at 165, but most of the trade in the Southern Plains is going to be in that 164 level. We talked about yesterday morning, we probably would have some short covering, some hedge lifting coming after that cash trade. And we also have the cattle on feed report this afternoon at 2 o'clock. The report looks to be friendly, so I would look for additional short covering or some buying interest to come into some of the cattle contracts. The report looks to be a bullish one with placements down considerably from a year ago, on feed numbers down as well. And my personal estimates are even more bullish on what the average trade guess is. We'll see what the USDA has to say today. But it looks to be a longer term, a very constructive report. And I think that's going to give us some strength in the trade today, anticipating that bullishness.
Okay, well, let's take a look at where we wrapped up yesterday, just for a point of reference on our Board of Trade. And let's look at the live cattle. On our quotes from bar chart, we had, we'll go with June. They were 30 cents higher yesterday at 156.87. And on the feeder cattle market, we went home with the April up $1.90. They had a big day. They were at 195.15. And on the lean hogs, we finished up yesterday with April $4.30 lower. Yikes. And look at June and July down 4.75 yesterday. Oh my goodness. I don't know if they can do that again today, but wow, that was a very dismal close. Brian, thank you so much for talking with us here this morning, and happy St. Patty's Day to you. Have a great weekend. Yeah, appreciate that very much. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions.